Last month, my doctor looked up from his clipboard and said, and I'm quoting him exactly, "Arthur, your inflammation markers are lower than most of my 45-year-old patients." I'm 87 years old. I live alone. I do not have a personal trainer. I do not take a cabinet full of supplements, and I have not been inside a hospital as a patient in 14 years. 3 weeks ago, my neighbour David, 43 years old, works at a desk all day, tried to keep pace with me on my morning walk. By the time we hit the end of the road, David had his hands on his knees. I wasn't even winded. He looked at me and said, "What on earth are you doing, Arthur?" That's what this video is about. Not magic, not genetics, not expensive routines. Just 5 specific things I do in my first hour of waking up, every single morning, without exception, that I believe are the reason I am standing in front of you today, sharp, independent, and in better shape than I was at 65. My name is Arthur. I am 87 years old. I have outlived 2 of my closest friends, both of them younger than me. One of them, Gerald, refused to slow down, ignored every signal his body gave him, and spent his final 4 years in a nursing home, unable to dress himself. Gerald was 79. That is not how I intend to go. What I'm about to share with you is not complicated, but most people won't do it, because it requires doing the same small things every single morning when every part of you wants to simply get up, make coffee, and check your phone. But those first 60 minutes, I am convinced, are the most important 60 minutes of your entire day, especially after 70. I do not get out of bed the moment I wake up. I learned this the hard way. For most of my life, I was a jump-out-of-bed man. Alarm rings, feet on the floor, go. And for most of my life, I was running on cortisol I didn't need, tension I hadn't earned, and inflammation I didn't understand. Your body, when you wake up, is already in a mild state of stress. Cortisol spikes in the first 30 minutes after waking. It's called the cortisol awakening response. At 87, that spike can set the tone for your entire nervous system for the rest of the day. So I do not move. Not yet. I lie exactly where I am, and I do 4 cycles of what's called the 4-7-8 breath. Inhale through the nose for exactly 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale through the mouth for 8. Just 4 cycles. Takes less than 2 minutes. This activates something called the vagus nerve, the long nerve that runs from your brain down through your chest and gut. When you stimulate it through extended exhales, it tells your entire nervous system, you are safe. It brings down cortisol. It reduces systemic inflammation. It prepares your heart for the day instead of shocking it into it. My friend Margaret, 71, high blood pressure for 20 years, started doing this 6 months ago on her cardiologist's suggestion. 3 months in, her doctor reduced her medication for the first time in a decade. She called me, slightly stunned. I was not surprised. 4 cycles, every morning, before my feet touch the floor. When you sleep, gravity stops working on your spine. Your vertebrae, your discs, they decompress slightly, which sounds like a good thing, until you realize that when you stand up and gravity returns all at once, those same vertebrae slam back into compression without warning. That is why so many older people feel stiff, sore, and hunched in the morning. They're not just tired, their spine is being compressed without preparation. So after my breathing, I go to the wall. I stand flat against it, back of my head, shoulders, tailbone all touching the wall. And I stretch both arms straight up as high as they will go, palms against the wall. And I hold that position for exactly 2 minutes. It feels almost embarrassing how simple it is, but what it does is remarkable. It creates traction, a gentle, controlled decompression of your spine before you load it with your full body weight for the day. It resets your posture. It relieves the nerve pressure that, in older people, causes pain that radiates from the lower back down into the legs. Gerald, the friend I mentioned, had chronic back pain for the last 15 years of his life. He spent money on chiropractors, masseurs, painkillers. He never tried this. 2 minutes against a wall every morning. It costs nothing. It requires nothing. And in 14 years, I have not had a single morning where my back reminded me of my age. Before I brush my teeth. Before I drink anything. Before anything touches my mouth in the morning, I take exactly 1 tablespoon of coconut oil and I swish it around my mouth for 5 minutes. I know how that sounds. My daughter thought I had lost my mind when she first saw me doing it. She does it herself now. This is called oil pulling. It's an ancient Ayurvedic practice, thousands of years old, but modern science has now caught up with it. Studies have shown that swishing oil in this way reduces the harmful bacteria in your mouth by up to 50% in a single session. Now here is the part most people do not know, and this is the part that changed everything for me. Your oral bacteria does not stay in your mouth. The same harmful bacteria responsible for gum disease travels through your bloodstream directly to your heart and your brain. The research on this is not ambiguous. Oral bacteria is now strongly linked to both cardiovascular disease and cognitive decline in older adults, the two things most of us fear most. I am 87. My last dental check showed 0 signs of gum disease. My cardiologist has never once expressed concern about my heart. I am not saying oil pulling is the only reason, but I am not willing to stop doing it to find out. I do not drink coffee first thing in the morning. I stopped that 30 years ago. Coffee on an empty stomach spikes your cortisol, the same hormone I spent my 4-7-8 breath calming down. So I do not undo that work with a rushed cup of coffee. Instead I make this: half a teaspoon of turmeric, a small pinch of black pepper, half a teaspoon of ghee, stirred into a mug of warm water, not boiling. That's it. Now let me tell you why each of these 3 matters, because this is not random. Turmeric contains curcumin, one of the most studied anti-inflammatory compounds in nature. The problem with curcumin is that your body absorbs almost none of it on its own. Almost none. But when you add black pepper, specifically the compound piperine in black pepper, absorption increases by 2,000%. That is not a typo. 2,000%. The black pepper is not seasoning. It is the key that unlocks the entire ingredient. The ghee serves a different purpose. Curcumin is fat-soluble, which means it needs fat to travel through your system and reach your organs. Ghee carries it directly across the blood-brain barrier. It does not sit in your gut. It goes to your brain. At 87, inflammation is the thing most likely to kill me. Not a dramatic event. Slow, quiet, systemic inflammation that builds over years and eventually breaks something. This drink is my first line of defense against it, every single morning. This one is the one people laugh at, until they try it. Every morning, after my drink, I take off my slippers, open the back door, and I stand on the grass in my bare feet for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. I don't walk laps. I don't do exercises. I stand. Sometimes I close my eyes. Sometimes I just watch the birds. This is called grounding or earthing, and I understand completely that it sounds like something printed on a tea towel. But the science is there, published in peer-reviewed journals, including the Journal of Inflammation Research. When your bare skin makes direct contact with the earth, your body absorbs free electrons from the ground. Those electrons act as antioxidants inside your body, neutralizing the free radicals that drive inflammation. At my age, I will take every anti-inflammatory tool available, and this one costs nothing and requires nothing except a patch of grass and 10 minutes of patience. I have a younger sister, she is 81, who laughed at this for 2 years. Then her rheumatologist told her that her inflammatory markers had steadily worsened despite her medication. She called me finally and asked me to explain it properly. She has been doing it for 4 months. She told me last week that she feels better in her joints than she has in 5 years. she is still slightly annoyed about it. Let me tell you exactly what my first hour looks like, from start to finish. Before I get out of bed, 4 cycles of the 4-7-8 breath. Inhale 4 seconds, hold 7, exhale 8. Calm the nervous system. Stop the cortisol spike before it starts. Then I go to the wall, both arms up, back flat, 2 minutes of spinal decompression. Every single morning before I load my spine with a single step. Then oil pulling, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, 5 minutes of swishing before anything else enters my mouth. Reduce the oral bacteria before it has a chance to reach my heart or my brain. Then my morning drink, half a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, half a teaspoon of ghee in warm water. The most powerful anti-inflammatory combination I know of, taken every day without exception. And then 10 minutes on the grass, barefoot, letting the earth do what the earth does. Quiet, simple, free. That is the entire routine. Nothing exotic, nothing expensive, nothing that requires a prescription or a gym membership or someone half your age to explain it to you. Just 5 things, done in order, every morning, for as long as I have been doing them. I am 87 years old. I live alone. My doctor's exact words last month were that my inflammation markers are lower than most of his 45-year-old patients. And my neighbour David still hasn't forgiven me for leaving him breathless at the end of the road. If this was useful to you, share it with someone who needs it more than they think they do. And if you have questions, leave them below. I read them myself.